Yeah.
Right? And this is actually covered by a podcast I watched recently where somebody was mentioning about LeBron James and said,
Yeah.
LeBron James is an amazing athlete. He's fit, ripped,
Yep.
absolutely shredded, incredible athleticism. Would you say that that's an unrealistic body type? Well, no, he's a real person, right? He's actually a real person.
Yep.
So even a lot of these guys you see in the magazines, they are real people. They're not they're not paintings, man. They're real people who work hard and get that body rightfully deserved. So you can't take that away and say it's an unrealistic body type.
Hello and welcome to The Human Now, where we're discussing ideas around what it means to be in this state of time. My name is Akash, and today I am changing it up. So usually what I do is I introduce everyone that's on the podcast.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to get you guys to do today is introduce yourselves. And also if you can say or tell us what the color of your toothbrush is. And Rex, because you're new, you got to tell us if you fold or scrunch.
Fold or scrunch?
Yeah.
Me first?
Yeah, you start.
My name's Anish. My toothbrush is red and I fold, but sometimes I scrunch. It depends. It really depends.
Cool.
I am Rex, and my toothbrush is white, and I fold. Yeah.
Man.
My name is Roshan, and my toothbrush is purple.
Cool. And my name is Akash. My toothbrush is orange.
Orange.
Yeah. Or like it's like a bamboo stick with
I don't
orange
think I've
bristles.
ever seen an orange toothbrush before.
Orange bristles. That's what I was like. There's going to be too much to explain, but now I've explained it, and I fold. So the reason why I got you guys to introduce yourselves was actually because I was listening to the podcast, and because there's 4 of us, and if I go through and I introduce everyone, the people listening don't actually know the order that I'm speaking in and how the name associates to the sound of the voice. So that's why I was like, I need to change it up and get you guys to introduce yourselves. So whoever's listening can be like, okay, cool. So this is Rex and this is what his voice sounds like. So that was just...
That's the most I've ever spoken on a podcast.
Well, hopefully Roshan can do more speaking today. So anyway, today's podcast centers around male body image, talking about what body image is firstly, what triggers body image and conditions us to think in such ways, what positive and negative body images. We'll talk about our experiences with it growing up, and how it affects us now, and then also just some what we can learn from what we've discussed today as well. So if we start with what body image is to us.
Before that, sorry, could we just get a quick introduction for Rex for those that don't know him?
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Rex?
Just so people know who you are.
Right, okay.
Who are you and
Who am I?
what do you do? Yeah. Cool. Thanks,
So,
Roshan.
basically, I'm a New Zealand competitive bodybuilder and a fitness professional. So I train people and a transformation specialist. So I transform bodies. And that's pretty much my full-time job. So yeah. Cool. That covers me, I think.
Sweet. Okay, so yeah, if we move into what body image is. So firstly, body image is the thought and perceptions one has of themselves and their body. Basically, it's the relationship you have with your body. So if you guys want to talk about what you feel like is, let's start with like your relationship to or with body image, and like your positive and negative experiences. If we just have like a discussion around that. Do you want to start, Rex?
Sure.
Seeing as you come from the industry where body is your thing.
Yeah, I think like body image is basically anyone who has that thought process of being too skinny or too big or too fat or too small, or, all those different not tall enough, all that not having enough hair, all those topics sort of come into body image, So even skin color, and all these whether it be positive or negative, those associations of how we perceive ourselves and wanting to either look a certain way or want something we don't have. All those things sort of fall into that bracket, and so that's kind of what's been happening lately is that there are certain things that are put up on a pedestal. So being a certain way, having a six pack, or being shredded, or being tall. All these things are considered to be in our society as a good thing, you could say, or a more dominant thing.
Ideal, right?
Yeah, ideal. That's probably a better word to use. But when you're talking about purely from a health standpoint, or from even a mental standpoint of how people should be treated or how things should be actually perceived, a lot of these are actually not true. So they're actually not sort of misinterpreted or how do I say it? Sort of misguided by society, you could say, pretty much. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, actually? I mean,
Anish.
And this is why we have the intro.
We know who the favorite is.
I get that all the time. No, I agree a lot with Rex, because especially now with social media, you're just you go on your newsfeed and you see someone with a six pack, or you see someone in a bikini, and you're just then instantly you compare yourself to that person, But speaking personally, I've always in terms of my body, it's always been in a form of function. So whether it's playing sports or dance, I've always seen my body as not so much how it looks, but how I can use it.
Yep.
And then the looks come with that,
Yep.
But yeah, I still get influenced a lot by what I see in movies, or especially because we dance to a lot of Bollywood music now, and so you get influences from Bollywood movies or Bollywood actors. You have to be shredded now, to be in a Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
Or that's that's something that everyone looks forward to seeing in a Bollywood movie, or aspires to be like. But yeah, that's just been my personal experience with body image.
Yeah, so basically it's subconsciously always there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Even though you might have, although you sort of do things to be functional, that subconscious sort of layering of how you should look is kind of always there.
Yep.
But then you also, so that's that. But you, on the flip side, you also get the far extreme where you have people on the other end who aren't actually very healthy.
Right.
They live a very unhealthy life. They live a life which is not ideal for metabolic function, not ideal for your day-to-day energy preservation and energy consumption and all sort of things. It actually doesn't make you live your life in the most optimal way. And it actually degrades the standard of your life. And so you have that, and you have people sort of saying it's okay to be overweight, or it's okay, this is my way of living, and so there's a fine line where it has anything at the extremes I'd say can kind of fall into that place. So you have to but when it comes to body image, it can be so kind of vast.
It's a wide spectrum,
wide spectrum, and so you have that side of it, which sometimes people are very afraid to talk about it because they're so kind of afraid to sort of hurt people's feelings. But that topic should be spoken about. And I make the argument that if you see somebody who's very anorexic, you would be kind of scared for their life, and so you would kind of try to help them, or you'd try to do the best that you can within reason, while making them feel comfortable psychologically,
Yeah.
you would try to obviously help them in the best way you could.
Yep.
And you wouldn't say, oh, it's okay to be like that. Just go ahead, keep not eating food. You know? You definitely try to help them. And you see that as an illness.
Yep.
And so you get a point with body fat. Now, it's okay and totally okay to have a certain amount of body fat on you. In fact, you know, the ideal of having a six-pack is a personal choice. It doesn't actually mean that you're any healthier than somebody who has a bit of fat on their body.
Yep.
So, but then there is a point where you reach past, let's say, 40% body fat or higher. And again, that number is kind of is not the main area of focus. But I'm just saying, when you start to go past those high levels of body fat, your lipids and the way your body functions is not optimal. And so at what point is that person not, you know, seen as having an illness?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when is the concern for their life going to, you know, kick in? And so often people sort of say, oh no, it's fine. You know, so that's the flip side of it. Yeah. So there's those two extremes, and you know, and the other thing is, end of the day, you want as Akshay, sorry, Anish, man,
we look the same. We look the same.
Sorry, dude. As Anish, I'm so used to talking to Akshay all the time because I train him. So, as he said, like for him, it's about being functional, right? Now for me, it's about winning. Right. It's a sport. I see it as a sport. Sure. And I also see it as an art form. So somebody might look at me and say, why the hell do you want to look, you know, like that? And you don't have to look like that to be fit and healthy. Yeah. So what people don't see is the competitive side of body image, or the competitive side of bodybuilding. And it's no different to until people say, oh, it makes no sense. Why would you do that to your body and put yourself through that pain and all that sort of stuff? And why would you, you know, and certain things that we do as bodybuilders, although mostly is very, very healthy, there are things that we do, especially in the last week, that are arguable, that are sort of go against. Like for example, often bodybuilders will dehydrate themselves in the last day or two of a comp. It's done to sort of achieve a more dry look. Things like sweating on stage is not something that you want. You actually want to have a very dry physique so that it shows detailing through the muscle, and so you're kind of trying to achieve that. And not everybody does it, but it's a common sort of a protocol to use, where people will use systems in place to dehydrate their body, which is not optimal. Your body is sort of 60% water. Yeah. Okay, as an adult, as a toddler, somewhere around 70-75% water. So taking out what you pretty much are is not an ideal thing for health. Yep. So, you know, those things are arguable, but then again, why we're doing it from a competitive standpoint. So we're doing it to be the very best, you know, and that's exactly what any athlete does. You know, a Formula One racer sits into a car driving over 100 miles per hour. That's not healthy. They have the highest death rates. Yeah. Way more than bodybuilding. True. And bodybuilding hardly has any, you know, very few death rates. And so when you compare the two sports, you could argue, how does that make sense? Yep. How does that make sense driving in a car with that speed when you're most likely at a very high risk of death? You know, but no one would argue with that. Yep. Running into a 300-pound male at full speed just to put an oval ball over the line, you know, where you could break your ligaments, break your bone. How's that any, you know, less dangerous for your body? So it's purely from a competitive standpoint that we do it. Right. And you wouldn't do something unless you love it. And so that's the reasons why a lot of bodybuilders do it. And a lot of bodybuilders get a lot of shit for it. They get like, you know, sort of meatheads and this and that. But people don't realize the amount of level of optimal science and everything that they do is so detailed. You have to. It's not just like, you know. I tell people it's not like a sculpture where you just slap some clay on and start sculpting it. You have to literally mold your body day in and day out. Right. Through the food, through the nutrition.
Even just like the discipline.
It is, yes, exactly. And the benefits of that is that it can transcend into other areas of your life. Right. So you'll often find many bodybuilders are very good businessmen. It's you know but Arnold is a great example of one, but there's a lot of them throughout most bodybuilders that I know, or fitness or athletes, tend to be very good businessmen, and that's because they have that level of determination, commitment, consistency, the willingness to power through pain, willingness to fail.
Yep.
You know, what is the set? You have to fail. You got to fail until the muscle is torn, and do it again, so that your muscle grows, so that you succeed. It's the sort of the most simplest sort of formula, and then that kind of transcends into so many areas of your life. So the acceptance of sort of that willingness to suffer now so that you gain later is something that is a great benefit, I would say, from things like training and things that you could call it things that are perceived as being good body image. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of good things that there's a lot of valid reasons why people look up to those body image ideals.
Yep.
So nowadays it's always people always try to defend it. Like, you know,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so now you have this new movement called fit shaming.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So have you guys heard of fit shaming?
I actually haven't.
Right. So
Yeah.
fit shaming is basically the opposite of fat shaming, which basically fat shaming was a movement which basically people were basically bringing into light that it's not okay to be fat and all that sort of stuff, and sort of, which is not okay. I think you should never shame anyone. Any form of shaming is bullying. Whether it be a fat person, a skinny person, or a fit person, it's a form of bullying. So that's not okay, regardless. And so, now speaking of just fit shaming is a movement which, let's just say, Anish and I have gone for.
You got it right. You got the
Got the name
name right.
right, man. Akshay. Okay, so let's say both of us we go for lunch.
Yeah.
And I order a chicken salad, okay, and he orders pizza, right?
Cool.
All right, cool. Now, I don't have a problem with him ordering pizza, but he looks at me and go, "Oh man, you can live a little, man. Do you have to always eat like that?"
True.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, and I actually get that a lot.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing with alcohol as well, right? You see some people who choose not to drink.
Yeah.
And then you'll have people who drink, like, "Oh, come on, man." Like,
Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. What's the big deal? And you're actually totally fine with being in your consciousness. You're totally happy. You're totally cool.
Yep.
There's nothing. You're not doing anything that's. You don't feel like you're sacrificing. So I actually enjoy my salad here. Like, I'm actually happy to eat it, and I'm not actually craving anything that you think I'm craving.
Yeah.
Which often happens because things like palate adjustments are actually a thing.
Right.
So what I find is when I compete and when I make healthier habits, like things like, people won't believe me, but things like oats with protein in it and blueberries taste like, to me, ice cream. So if I were to actually, after the those long preps, when I actually eat ice cream, although I think I want it, when I actually eat it, I'm like, ugh. Like, your body just rejects it.
Yep.
And you just get so used to sort of that your palate adjusting to the nutrients that are or foods that are nutrient dense and good for you. You see the benefits that your body gets, so you actually feel better. Your breathing is better. You're way more energetic. It's uncanny. In fact, the differences that your body experiences. Your mental alertness, your awareness is higher.
Yeah.
You're just not sluggish when you sort of have a more better calorie consumption, when you have better nutrients going through your body, more sort of wider spectrum of nutrients. So you feel good. And so often people eat that way, not because they're trying to be cool or look healthy. It's just that's who they are.
Yeah.
That's just who they are.
Yep.
And so fit shaming is this new movement where people go, come on, like, live a little, those sort of things. That's one example.
Yep.
Another example is the extreme where people go, oh, that's an unrealistic
Ideal or
body. How would you say it?
Do you mean like maintenance or trying to
unrealistic body type?
Yeah.
So it's those images on the poster are unrealistic, or you're promoting an unrealistic,
Lifestyle.
how do we
unrealistic body.
So talking about that, right? So in terms of body image,
Yeah.
right? There's things like you look at Men's Health magazine, or
Yes.
like he's talking about in the Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
These are the ideals that this is what we've been put.
Yeah.
That's what we've had in front of us. You know, and for
Yes.
us, like whenever you think about the beach,
Yeah.
like man, 6-pack abs.
Yes.
You know, you need a.
See,
So how do we?
the thing is, it's a hard question to answer
Yeah.
because it's spectrum. So
True.
the first thing is you can't call it an unrealistic body type because that's
Yeah.
a real person.
Yeah.
Right? And this is actually covered by a podcast I watched recently where somebody was mentioning about LeBron James and said,
Yeah.
LeBron James is an amazing athlete. He's
Yeah.
he's fit, ripped,
Yep.
absolutely shredded, incredible athleticism. Would you say that that's an unrealistic body type? Well, no, he's a real person,
'Cause
right?
Yeah.
He's actually a real person.
Yep.
So even a lot of these guys you see in the magazines, they are real people. They're not they're not paintings, man.
Computer
They're real
generated.
people who work hard and get that body rightfully deserved. So you can't take that away and say it's an unrealistic body type.
Yeah.
It is very much realistic, and often to many people, can actually achieve that body. Now, outside of that, yes, there are people who might not be genetically superior to achieve that particular look.
Yep.
Okay, but I always make this argument again, like everyone does not have the genetics to be Usain Bolt. Not everybody can, have that speed. But can everybody run a little faster? Yes.
True.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And so stop looking at, yes, I mean, promoting a particular type of body is probably not the right thing. But at the same time, you can't say that that's unrealistic or that's,
Not achievable
or shaming that, shaming
Yeah.
somebody who actually who works hard and who's happy to sculpt their body, sees it as a, form of art or whatever they want to call it, form of progress. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And if somebody does have superior genetics, what can you do?
Yeah.
It's not their fault,
Yep.
And yes, you have people who have disadvantaged genetics in terms of metabolism. So they have things like, for example, you could have thyroid dysfunction. You could have this thing called the FDO gene, which basically means that you're more susceptible to overeating.
Yeah.
I think it's 1 in every 3rd person in some of the research. That's what it suggests, which is fairly high, right?
Yeah.
But in saying that, it does not mean, it just means that they're susceptible to eating a little bit more.
Yeah.
It does not say that they cannot, that you have a metabolic or your body functions any different. So for example, if you were to consume less food, you would still lose weight. So I make this other argument. If your dog goes to the vet, right? Vet. Sorry.
You're good, man.
The dog goes to the vet, and the vet says that your dog is obese, and you need to sort of take it out for more walks and whatever have you to make it fit again. Would you keep feeding it more food? Would you go home and feed it more food? This dog that you love, right? Your pet. Would you just start feeding it more food? Absolutely not, right? The first thing you do is you start feeding it less food. The second thing, you'd probably take it out for more walks, right? Why not apply that same thing on you or your family or your friends?
Yeah.
Now, I know it can hurt people's feelings, but why is it any different?
Yeah.
Why is it looked at it any different? Because end of the day, you're caring about them. Now, sure, there are people who can be rude, and that's not okay. So it's about how you do it.
Yeah.
Again, the dog might be obese, but it doesn't have to be, shredded up, muscular. Jacked. Yeah. It has to be healthy. That's the main aim.
Right.
That's the main aim. So you don't have to scrutinize somebody for having a little bit of body fat on them.
Yeah.
That is totally okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. In fact, a lot of athletes, shot putters, and need to have certain levels of body fat for their sport.
Yeah.
You were mentioning sumo wrestlers, right?
Yep.
Just
because their body size is...
that's what they require for their sport.
Yeah.
There are so many rugby players who are quite big, you would say with high levels of body fat, but they're fit as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are a lot of rugby players who are quite sort of on the big side, not on the muscular side, but they're fit as hell. Powerlifters, So It's hard to kind of just say who's healthy and who's not.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really-
what I was just gonna say. I think it goes back to like perception and health.
Correct.
Like when it comes to body image,
Mhm.
where we can't just be looking at what's on the outside
Yes.
as the final
Judgment.
judgment. We actually you can't look at it in isolation. There has to be there's so much to it behind why someone is doing what they're doing and why they feel and think about the way they are.
Yeah.
That we can't just be like, just because he's jacked, just because he's ripped,
Mm. That he's healthy.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he might not even be emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
You could be the most.
But
fittest guy and then-
statistically speaking,
Yeah.
Again, this can probably hurt some people's feelings. But when you
Right.
look at broad spectrum of population, statistically speaking, people who are leaner tend to be healthier.
Right.
If you look at their blood lipids, you look at their blood work,
Yep.
the signs are going to show as a more healthy body. Now, when I say leaner, I'm not referring to skinny fat.
Mm.
So you might have like aunties or uncles or people or friends that look skinny, but when they take off their shirt, they actually have a lot of body fat on them. I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about lean as in less body fat on you. I'm not referring to just looking
Yeah, the
small.
shape of the body.
Yeah. There's also then the other spectrum where people are too underfed or too lean.
Right.
That's why you have a BMI, a body mass index. And so people who are within the body mass index statistically are shown to be living a healthier life. This is the science is out there to prove it. This is why we have the BMI in place.
Right.
Now, for someone like me, who is
Yeah. What
5'10",
BMI like?
my BMI is actually above the
Yeah.
body mass index. So body mass index is just a height to weight ratio.
Right.
So it just means that your height to weight, what your weight should be for your height, and what's the optimal range. And so I think it's measured at about, I think if it's above 25, 30, it's not okay. It's too high, and below 20, it's too sort of low. And so mine actually falls above for my height to weight ratio.
Yeah.
So, but generally they're referring to fat and not taking muscle mass into account.
Right.
But in saying that, any kind of heavier weight will have that much more impact on your heart. So the heavier you are, your body that has to do that much more work.
Yep.
So bodybuilders are aware of that, but we
Mm.
kind of do that still, as I said, because it's the kind of look that we're trying to go for, the competitive side of things. But when we're talking about purely from a health standpoint, right? Just health standpoint, that optimal range does exist. So definitely somebody who is leaner is going to show better blood work than somebody who is obese. So yeah.
How has I got 2 questions. How has your perception of body image changed since going into bodybuilding and like body development? And then also, how has your conversation around body image or body image, how has that changed around your group of friends?
See, the thing is, we live in a world now.
Because this is so where this is coming from is it's often seen as like a taboo to talk about your body image around your male counterparts.
Sure.
Sure. Like when you go back to alpha male and all that type of thing.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So how has that changed for you, and what has it been like?
See,
If Roshan and Ace want to jump in too as well.
There's no denying the fact that. So didn't always look like this. I always I actually was very skinny when I first started out, and I just wasn't happy with being called the skinny guy all the time, and so I decided to do something about it. I didn't particularly like being referred to as the skinny guy there, and I didn't feel strong at all. I remember being thrown in a rugby field by this huge guy. He just sort of flung me, and I just sort of felt like like a piece of like a rag doll, So I wanted to sort of become stronger and fitter and all those sort of things. And so you could say that I personally had a body image issue, and so I went in and did something about it. I sort of learned how to train and eat, and started to enjoy the process.
Right.
So a lot of people might have that realization, but then not stick through it because they don't have the same experience. So I really fell in love with the whole process. And I actually found it, and I mentioned this a lot, for me, it became more of an art form.
Yep.
So it's like, kind of like, to put it this way, it was like this vision I had. I saw this poster of a very famous bodybuilder from back in the 80s. His name is Frank Zane. And I saw his poster, and he had probably the most ideal physique, almost like a Greek god. It's not too big, not too small, just right, And he had similar height as me, similar bone structure as me, and he also was skinny. So when he started out, so I kind of like something hit me,
Yep.
And the other person I have to mention him as well was Hrithik Roshan, who's I watched his movie Doom 2. And I was like, remember that? And I was like younger, and I was like, damn. Because the other thing is that most people tell, like, is that Indians don't have the genetics for building most, we're sort of skinny dudes, we're not, And so my thing was, Frank Zane is obviously not Indian, but everything else was like almost like almost like a how do I say it here? Almost like a blueprint for me to follow.
Yeah.
Whereas with Hrithik, it was like, oh, it's this Indian guy. yes, my brother. And I was like, when I saw him dance, everything that he did, the way his body moved functionally, was just sort of inspiring. And so there and then I was like, I'm gonna do this. It was like a trigger.
Yeah.
Just like, something switched on. I'm sure for you, it's probably Michael Jackson, right? When you saw him dance, right? It's like, I want to be a dancer. So it was just that moment where that poster of Frank Zane, and combined with that sounds funny, right? Watching Doom 2, Hrithik dancing with his ripped body, was something that triggered something for me. And so from then it became more about a vision,
right?
Not so much body image, more about a vision. So it was like no different to a painter has this sort of image in their head, and now they're like painting it. Right. And so the only difference is, for me, my paint is my nutrition, right, and my paintbrush is my weights.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm day in and day out trying to sculpt it through those tools that I have.
Yep.
And so the vision obviously keeps changing and keeps developing. And so that's the part that I like about it, and sort of keeps growing. So it probably started off with a body image issue, but for many, it doesn't stay like that. Now, I can't deny the fact that, yes, there are benefits of fitting, you could say, the ideal body type for society. Sure, I feel more confident. Sure, I feel more dominant. There certainly has been a change in my personality.
Yeah.
Because the people are giving you that reassurance, right, of doing something good, or of becoming better. Yeah. And so you build a lot of confidence. And so you build... a lot of, you could say you almost feel more powerful as a person.
Right.
Now, is that a bad thing? No, it's not. Because dominance hierarchies exist in bacteria, in everything for for how many years and years and years. So, for example, there are people who have higher IQ levels. Yeah. You have crystallized IQ, you have fluid IQ, and things like fluid IQ is which means that you're kind of born with it. Your ability to think outside the box, your ability to have logic thinking and creative thinking, those are fluid IQ. Crystallized IQ is sort of things you learn. You read a book and you have a bit more knowledge. Read a book, you have a bit more knowledge. Not everyone is born with the same level of fluid IQ, and we know that. It's there. So you have people who I think have an IQ of below 85 which means that they don't have the ability to read instructions and follow them. And that's 15% of the population. 15% is huge.
Yeah.
On the other spectrum, you have people who are above 135, also 15%. So, they're going to be more logic thinkers. They're going to be, so automatically they are going to be more dominant in businesses, in creating. And is there a problem? No, of course they're going to be the best at what they do because they have that advantage. And so those sort of dominance hierarchies exist. So the fact that there is this sort of, hierarchical thing that exists with body image is not completely bad. I wouldn't say it's completely bad, because some of what comes with gaining a body is good.
Yep.
But then again, it's not all good either. And when it comes to body image, it's such a
It is
such a sensitive topic that I can't really sit here. I almost have a very neutral stance on most things. It's not like I can't sit here and say, that this is the right body and this is the and I can't say that people who have bodies are just pretty much useless, or they sort of promote the wrong thing, and it's not so a lot of what they do is correct, a lot of what they do is right. So it's that thing. So going back to what I was talking about, that dominance hierarchies, they exist. They really do. They exist in all species. They exist in you mentioned alpha male. So you look at other species like apes and monkeys. They exist. There's an alpha male. There's a dominant that exists, and those sort of things exist in human beings as well. It certainly does, and we might not think it does, but we're pretty much animals, man. And we have people we look up to, and they're all there. It's all in there.
Yep.
So yeah, we aren't all equal. It's just how it is.
Right.
And it's the way it's meant to be.
Yep.
So yeah.
Russian Ace, what is your guys' experience with Russian? What is your experience like being with body image, and do you want to touch into that?
Yeah, Rex pretty much covered everything.
It's what's left to say?
Yeah.
Now I think I'm quite similar to Ace. Where growing up, it was I played a lot of sports, like hockey, and then slowly that eventually went into dance. So I don't think I was too concerned about my physical body image and what I actually look like. I think that's kind of different to what everyone else is saying. Is they were worried about that, whereas it wasn't really a thought to me. And I was just I don't know why. I was as long as I feel good for myself, that's all that kind of matters. And I don't know where that came from or what triggered that.
Yep.
So when I was dancing and stuff, I was no worries, nothing. But then I think it's, for me personally, is as long as I'm happy with how I feel and how people feel about themselves, that's kind of
right
what should matter the most. They shouldn't worry about what other people think about them. What are they to you to be able to comment on your body?
Yep.
Sure. It's your vehicle to own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly your vehicle to own. So how you fuel it, how you use it is up to you. And if you're okay with it not functioning optimally, not being serviced, that's fine.
Yep.
If you want it to have the best oil, best petrol, best, that's fine too.
Yep.
So, but then you have to be aware that those things they're
happening.
They are happening. There are differences. It's not like everything is okay. It's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not that.
You just gotta pick what's best for you and what you're.
Yeah, you gotta. It's
with.
your choices. You'll reap the positive or negatives from it. And as long as you're okay with that, then no one has the right to tell you anything. If you are somebody who is, let's say, overweight and you're genuinely happy, that's amazing. What's wrong with that?
Yep.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned before, once it starts becoming a health concern, and then you're sitting there eating your chocolate cake and going, I'll live my life, at that point it's not optimal. It's not okay. That point's not okay. Yep. Likewise, if somebody is constantly running and looking in the mirror and training and checking their abs out, they're out with their wife or girlfriend, and they're they're more worried about their photograph on Instagram.
Exactly.
That's
not healthy.
That's another level of unhealthy.
Yeah.
And argue probably worse because it's mentally draining.
Yeah.
So that's also completely not okay.
Looking into
and constantly checking yourself out, constantly worrying about your tan or your this or your hair or your, whatever have you, your it's just not okay. It's not okay to be that into yourself. Because end of the day, this is not gonna last. It's just a vehicle. Like the process should be in here. This is the only thing that probably has an ability to transcend anywhere. Your soul, your mind, if there is one. That's what I believe, at least, is the only thing that can transcend into something forward. This we're gonna leave behind. We leave it behind every second. It's there. It's a little bit older. 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 It's a little bit right now as we go. Right? Yeah. And it's not. It's changing. It's not, right now. It's an organism that's changing. It's not gonna look like this all the time.
It's temporary.
Look at Arnold's body. His amazing body when he was in his 20s, 30s. Obviously, he can't maintain that now. He looks amazing for his age, but he can't maintain that same level now. And what are you going to take that body? Now, what he has left behind is a legacy, though.
Yeah.
That's what people will remember him for, the legacy.
Right.
So when people think of Arnold, they don't really think about his body, to be honest. You think about his body, but you think about what he stands for. You think about all the things he's done, and that's kind of what inspires people. He's done a lot of wrong things as well, but you still kind of focus on his sort of legacy that he leaves by his hard work, his grind, and so that's what you should be remembered for. Not your six pack. Nobody cares, man. Nobody cares. Like people look at a photograph, they look at themselves. Nobody looks at a photograph and goes, "Oh, look at that." Most people, the first thing they'll do is look at themselves.
Yeah.
So by nature, most people are very self-obsessed, which is fine, which is okay. But the point I'm trying to bring here is that people don't really care about you as much as you think you do.
Yeah. Wow.
So you might go into the mirror and as some women do this too. They'll sort of put an extra thing and some more makeup on their face. They come out. Nobody actually cares. No one actually cares that much. Now, sure, if they've touched themselves up to a point where it's made a difference in the way they look, sure, people will notice it. But what I'm trying to say is being that sort of edgy about everything, people sometimes don't even notice. So, fixing your hair, for example, if you go into a toilet and slightly adjusting it because you think it's not perfect, who cares? Just come out.
That's the other thing with body image is when we have that obsession with self. Yeah. The only way we can validate ourselves is by other people noticing us. Yeah. So then we're looking for, damn, Rex said I look really good today. My whole day changes because of what Rex has said to me. Yeah. Or I go and get a haircut and then I gotta, how many people are gonna notice if I've got a haircut? Right. And then that validates my happiness. Yeah. But really we should be changing the conversation.
Absolutely.
In the sense where why aren't we talking about our character and value? What you mean to me as a person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's so huge. Even if we feel like we don't have an issue of body image, correct? It's just not magnified. Everyone has these insecurities and these little issues, and it's just
it's you're so right, because I actually see this in my sport a lot. Yeah. And maybe Anish, you might see it with dance competitions as well. I see guys. I could argue that there was a time in my life that I was like that too. If I self-reflect, looking for the wrong reasoning. So looking outwards. So, for example, today we have this kind of everyone's a winner type of thing, right? So a lot of these bodybuilding shows, everyone gets medals. Right. And what I mean by that is there's so many different categories, subcategories, as these, they've made short, tall, this, and within that they have novice and all these different categories, which is great because it gives opportunities to so many people. But what ends up happening is by dividing the categories into different heights, there's 3 different heights, and what ends up happening is the pool of competition is shortened. And so now what you got is they give, 3 or 4 or 5 winners, or top 5, whatever, everyone gets a medal. So in the end of these comps, everybody has a medal. Everyone has a medal. And there I was with my medal, sort of, everyone's happy, And so what ends up happening is that you kind of, there's this, you're always looking for winning. And so you're coming first, coming second, You know, when in actual fact, these things are made up by us. You know, first place, second place, third place. Who the hell has a right to tell you that your body is first? Nobody, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're searching for like, you know, and although again, although I compete in these things, people won't believe me, but I actually couldn't care less if I came. Although I'm competitive in the sense I always want to win.
Yeah.
But I genuinely don't care anymore if I were to play, say, third or second. In fact, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I was that close. What I need to sculpt on next to like edge the competition out or whatever. But often people they're searching for the win or the victory.
Your happiness doesn't lie in that.
And of course, some people obviously want to turn pro, and you know, even for me, that's one of my goals. But their focus is so much on turning pro. Having that card, which is great, that the body, they forget about what you know, the journey. So what happens if you don't turn pro? Oh my God, you're gonna be depressed. You know, so that should be a byproduct. It's the same like business, right? If somebody's focusing on money, only focusing on money, focusing on money, and that, you know, what if they don't get that money? Now they're unhappy. I need to be a millionaire by 30. I need to be a millionaire by 30. All that pressure for no reason for something that we created, money. So it doesn't even exist. You know, no other animal knows what that shit is.
Yeah.
You put food and money, and they'll be like, food, thank you. You know, they're not going to choose. So Bonnie V made this sort of, this thing that exists, you know, that this fake sort of piece of paper that we've given a lot of value. And so it's like, you know, how do we need to focus on what we can control.
True.
On only what we can control, and then you will find true happiness. So when you are doing a business, something that you're happy about, and you're looking at the journey and trying to progress or whatever, the money is a byproduct. It's, you know, it's kind of like if you play basketball. When do you have the most fun? When you're like dribbling the ball, and when you shoot the hoop, that's when you're playing, right? Dodging the people, right? That's the obstacles, the hard going around them is the obstacles, and dribbling the ball is the enjoyment. That's the part that you enjoy. And then the goal, that sort of that basket that you get in the end, that's just the counting system. Just tell you where you stand. Yeah. That's the money. That's the reward, you could say. But the joy comes from dribbling the ball and, you know, going around the obstacles. So your journey should look like that. When you're, you know, whether it be body image or whether it be anything, it should be you should be process driven, not outcome driven all the time. You know, you should be sort of enjoying the moment, enjoying your art, enjoying your journey, and then the rest will come mostly as a byproduct. It almost always does. And even if it doesn't, it's okay. As I said, we're all not created equal. If somebody is genetically superior than me in my sport, and we both have the same grind, train as hard, what can I do? I do?
Exactly, you've done everything that's
I'm going to sit there and cry about it.
Yeah.
No, but what else can I do? I can inspire others. There's so many people who become better coaches than they become bodybuilders or become, you know, athletes. They can win in other aspects. There's so many ways of winning, you know. You don't have to sort of just have those, what we think winning is, which is, you know, being a millionaire, having that body, coming first. You know, those are all the wrong reasons to chase success or chase, you know, anything you love. So even if you give Anish and Akshay when they dance, if you give them like second place, they're still happy they dance. They still enjoyed the best time they had was a dance practice. I can guarantee you, dance practice was the best part. Like, you know, that's the fun part. The showcasing is like you're revealing your art. You're revealing it's the reveal. So you're nervous. You reveal it. When you reveal it because you're so passionate about it, you give it everything you got. And then you might genuinely feel like you're the winner. And if you do, that's all that matters. Yeah. And so nobody has a right to tell you that, you know, that you're second, third, first. They might put that on paper, but in your head.
You know what's funny? Sometimes, like, even though the judges don't vote for you, the audience does.
Yes.
Like, you guys should have won.
There
like,
you go.
So it is all just based on
exactly. It's subjective, opinions. Right? And I mean, bodybuilding is probably the most subjective sport. It's like literally bodies up there. It's just a matter of which sculpture you like better. And how can somebody say, "Oh, I like David better than the Statue of Liberty"? Like 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 I don't know. Like it's like subjective. It's very, very subjective. It's you're looking at it from a lens, and obviously people will always self-validate. So, for example, if I like having a small waist with a taper and a smaller frame, and if I was a judge, I'm gonna look for that.
True.
I'm not. I'll say, I don't want people to have big guts or big. Whereas somebody who's on the bigger side is gonna look for that and say, that guy's too small. So I'm gonna look at it from a lens of what my body looks like, because I think that is what I'm chasing is quote unquote perfection, whereas somebody else's idea of perfection is completely different. And who am I to argue with that?
Yeah,
that's totally okay.
Yeah,
for them to have that, that lens or that view. So, yeah.
Just before we round up, I just wanted to talk about body image amongst our peers. Like, how have you guys ever come across that?
Yes.
Especially around your male counterparts, because like male body image isn't really talked about, but it's something we all live with.
Do you mean feeling the
just the
negatives of male body image, or actually talking about it?
Let's talk about both.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Like when I was younger, so most of my friends, my close friends, were about, you could say, an inch taller than me. Okay, so I actually had a slight insecurity, if I'm being honest, about my height. And I actually think height is a big one. Height is a big one for guys. Like it's not really talked about, but I would say height is the same as racism, or like, it's like called heightism, I guess. Like, think about it. It's something you're born with. It's not something you can actually change.
Yeah.
At least like with weight, or like you can actually do something about it.
Right.
With height, you can't do anything about it. It's like your skin color. You can't do anything about it. And a lot of people, there's a lot of prejudice towards shorter males. Is that the right word, prejudice?
Yeah.
And I've seen it actually in my life with a lot of males. I've seen a lot of guys sort of being called short, or being, even girls. I've seen girls sort of say, "Oh, I prefer a taller man," or they'll say things that are like subconsciously, like, having a
or even
goal.
Or even guys who are like, I need to be with someone who I'm taller than.
Yes, absolutely. Or and I've seen sort of girls who say things like, "Oh, he's not tall enough," and that obviously has an effect. Now, is that okay? I don't know. I'm personally not okay with it, because I think it's not something that you actually are born with. Like, you can't really. It's the same as me saying, it's no different as somebody saying, "Nah, I don't really prefer having, a dark-skinned or a Asian or a white fair-skinned partner." It's no different.
Yeah.
So is that racism? That is, right? Like, I mean, so it's like that. You're pretty much in the same boat, and height doesn't really get spoken about a lot. So anyway, going back to my thing, my sort of friends sort of used to sort of pull my leg about being sort of an inch shorter than them. And I actually had this complex then. Even though I'm not that short, I actually had this complex of being short. And so I would sort of wear shoes that are with higher heels, Air Force Ones, and I would research into how to get taller, all sort of stupid shit, and hang off a pole and dumb things like that. Because during my training, this is honest. This is honestly what I used to do, because I used to feel like I'm not tall enough, and I always used to think, "Oh, if I was an inch taller, and although I'm 5'10", I was still thinking that I need to be taller." And then what I realized is that over time, as I grew smarter, and as I started to read a lot, and I started to read about books that talk about sort of your self-value and self-development and things like that, I learned that what I was being given for me is perfect for what I do. So as for a bodybuilder, my height is the perfect height. Like your limbs to waist to ratios are perfect. So when you see the body up there on stage as a silhouette, it looks all proportionate. And often tall bodybuilders struggle with that. Their legs are too long, their limbs, they struggle to fill out their frame. And so for what I do my physique was, my sort of height helped my physique in that sense.
Yeah.
And I make this other argument, like, at the end of the day, it's all about confidence. It's all about how you rock it. Look at Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Right? He's 4 foot something. I don't know how short he is, 5'1". I mean, everyone loves that guy. Why? Because he just rocks it. He's just so confident. And so I made it a rule to never wear, look at my shoes, flat. To never wear something I'm not. Be myself and just rock it. Like, rock it. This is who I am. You know? What you gonna do about it? Like, you know, and mock it before somebody else mocks themselves. I'll mock my muscles before anyone else has the chance to mock my muscles, because I think it's funny. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Look at me with my muscles. Like, you know, I'm a protein shake. Ha ha. It's you know. Sometimes I look at myself and, you know, we do funny things as bodybuilders. We walk past the mirror and we'll like flex our like calf, like, yeah, and we will go. And it's only like 1% of the world understand what it is to do that kind of shit, and it's okay. It's who I am. I'll laugh at it. Like, you know, I enjoy doing it. It's stupid as hell. Yeah. You know, it's not. You know, so you just gotta rock who you are, and as soon as you start to tell yourself that it's, you know, you need to be this, or you try to fake it, you know, you just don't. Your mind is not at ease. It's always subconsciously there, because, you know, it's like if you wear a fake Rolex watch, you can feel like you're wearing a Rolex. No, you're gonna always feel a little bit fake, you know. Why even bother? Just wear a watch, man. Just it says the same thing. It says the time.
Yeah,
you know. And if you want to buy a Rolex watch because you know, for whatever reason, because you worked your ass off and, you know, you've earned it, and you feel like that's something that you had as a goal, amazing, brilliant, Lamborghini, whatever, you know, enjoy it. And then you're like, when you actually in there, you're like, yeah, cool, I deserve this. And you actually feel like you're whatever it meant to you, luxury. Okay, so don't try to fake it. So that's the thing. Same with like who you are. Like, as I said, Kevin Hart is a perfect example, man. He just rocks. He just rocks who he is, and everyone loves him. Girls love him. Guys love him. Everyone loves him. He's just why?
Yeah.
So it's because he just owns it. He just owns who he is. So yeah, I think people need to just realize that they need to own who they are and see the strengths in what their physiques, whether they're too short, whether they're bald, whether they don't have hair, whatever it is, they have to look for turning that into a positive.
Yeah.
or
celebrate it.
Celebrate it, because you'll find that people will love you regardless if you know,
love you
and truly love you. Yeah. And as soon as you start making a big deal about, oh man, I wish I need to get a hair transplant, that's when like you're like, people think, ugh, this guy, like, you know. I mean, think about it. We have people who friends that have hair loss issues and stuff. Do we ever think about them as like less than? No, we love them for who they are, right?
Well, I can 100% relate to this.
There you go.
Because like, I've.
Oh, can you talk about that? Like your feelings about that?
Yep. And so growing up, like, I always had thick hair.
Yeah.
And it'd always be curly. So I could never like gel or sculpt my hair. It was always an insecurity. It was like, man, this is like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'd always gel it up, it'll curl back, and like, so I never did anything. And then I got into wearing caps.
Yeah.
Really like wearing caps, because then I could pick the type of hat I was wearing, the colors, the whatever was on the hat, you know. And for me, that was like, man, I'm styling my hair.
Right.
And then what I noticed is like my hairline started receding. And then there's a point where it's just like, this is how it is, you know, and you got to come to terms with it.
But how did you initially have sort of, did you feel any kind of like insecurity?
Yeah, 100%. You feel it, because you're like look at, like, I'm looking at your hair. You know, I'm like, and I find that I do as I look at other people's or other guys' hair, and I'm like, damn, like, and it's still something that I still think about. Yeah, you know, but like I've come to terms with it. Yeah, and I appreciate, like, last time we all went and hung out, like with the boys, I was able to sit there and talk to them about my hair, you know, and everyone was all good with it. And we're allowed to, like you said, like we joke about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I joke about my hair as well. You know, like this is me, this is who I am. You get what you see. You know, I don't want to, I know like it's going to look weird if I go and get implants or do something about it. You know, I'm just not going to feel comfortable in that. Whereas like, okay, let's deal with this as it comes.
Yeah.
You know, and that insecurity.
I guess the other thing is the other thing is if somebody does get a transplant or something like that and they feel better. That's okay too.
all good too, 100%.
You know, so in that, you know, so
you have to do
totally
what
fine
makes
too.
you comfortable.
Yeah, you got to just do you. If you feel that's the right move for you,
but don't do it for other people.
Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Like, you know, that's what it comes down to. If you feel like you need to train and you feel like you need to, that's what you got to do. There's nothing wrong with that because that's what makes you happy. You know, that's what makes you truly happy. As long as that's the thing. As long as you are happy in the inside and not looking for any sort of external validation.
Yep.
You know, so that's the best part. Like you should be able to get a transplant and say, yeah, I got a transplant. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than hide it.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't be so caught up in okay, like, I've got this.
Yes.
What is this person gonna say?
Yes.
Oh, like I'm going here, all these people are gonna think about like this about me.
Yeah.
Instead just
exactly.
You know,
so like my wife's pretty tall. Like she's fairly tall. And so sometimes when she'll wear heels, she'll be like, you know? So for photographs, sometimes I wear my lift kicks, which are like little, you know, there's those things you put inside your shoes and you get a little bit of a lift. And I'll tell people about it now. I'm like, I'll wear my lift kicks. Yeah. Just to look, you know, I'll just, if I do wear it,
I haven't known.
If I do wear it. but that's the thing. But mostly I realize now that I just don't even care. Like, it's just who I am. It doesn't even bother me.
It's a part of you.
Exactly. And that's just, do whatever you want on that particular day. It shouldn't bother you, shouldn't matter, and no one has the right to sort of tell you what you can and cannot do if you are truly happy.
Yeah,
you know.
And then you get to a point where you're able to be so comfortable and even just laugh.
Yeah.
You know, like people are just people make jokes and you can laugh with them.
Exactly.
People make jokes about your hairline, like all good. Like, you know, I've been told this by old uncles. They're like, you know how you're getting old? Because like, you need to get married. You know you're getting old. Your hairline. I'm like, bro, up to, man. And then I'm like, okay, all good. You know, like I find it funny that an uncle's telling me that. I just laugh at that. You know, and it's all good. It doesn't hurt me. I'm enjoying the moment of him talking and making a joke out of me. You know.
Yeah.
What about you, Ace? How's like body image?
I think
and
the height thing definitely, just because like
that's a big one.
Yeah,
a lot of guys. Because a lot of guys don't talk about this one. A lot of guys don't talk about this one, and it's a huge one, man. For guys, it's a big one, especially for like Southeast Asian and Indian. And, you know, where the average height is sort of below 5'8". You know, it exists, man. It's a real thing. Like, yeah.
I don't know. For me, like, I love fashion, right? So I feel like I can always dress my way out of things. I don't know if.
But so then, what is the insecurity of that?
Yeah,
you know, because you're doing that.
Exactly.
You said you're dressing your way out. So what are you dressing your way out of? What is the insecurity? You know,
like I've always been like the shortest guy in the group. Like, even right now, I think I am. And that's why, like, I always find different ways to kind of express myself.
It's almost like you're making up.
I don't know if it's because I'm trying to hide or making up for it. But I like what Rex was saying about turning his like passion into art. Because I feel like dance is how I express myself. Like, whatever I'm going through, whatever it is. Like, you know how you have like your paintbrushes, or you said like is the weights. Like, my paintbrush is my body, and the music is the paint, and so the canvas is whatever I use. Right. You know, to express myself. So that's how I would see dance, and that kind of gave me like a what do you say, like a vehicle to express the insecurities I have. And I think a lot of people haven't found that form of expression, and so they hide things inside. But yeah, like height, there's always been something like people always like, I don't know, like they don't say it, but like, you know, they'll do this sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even little things like, you know, like you know,
yeah,
like, you know,
like
on shorter people, and it's those. I think those are things that people can kind of be a little bit more aware about, like how you're making people feel, and you know, those sort of things, like,
and also for the shorter guys, don't feel intimidated by taller people as well. You know,
exactly.
Like
I am Kevin Hart hangs out with The Rock.
Yeah, and he makes himself the tallest man in the room.
Yeah.
He's like physically the shortest person, you know?
And what I do like about them is that they kind of like mock each other about it.
Exactly.
And I guess in that sense, like doing all that sort of stuff is actually probably okay. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it should be totally fine that we just are who we are, like, and do whatever it is. So
I think it comes back to that acceptance.
Yeah.
Once you've accepted yourself,
exactly.
that this is me, this is the proportions of my body.
Yeah.
This is what I've allowed myself to do in the size that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is me right now.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Just enjoy.
That's it.
Yeah. The thing is with things like skin color, things like height, these are things that people cannot change. No, unless surgically or something like that. But they really cannot change it easily. You know, there's no sort of and although we give weight sort of, when you talk about body, but we generally talk about weight loss because things can be done about it. So we talk about that quite often. But these things that nothing can be done about, we don't really talk about it.
Cool.
Like even skin color, like, you know, like in like you'll see like Indian moms, they'll say, "Beta, you know, don't go out in the sun." You know, like don't, you know what I mean? Like, like I know friends and who are, they'll go to the beach and they'll be like, like they'll be covering themselves, which, you know, to a white person that might sound weird because they do the exact opposite, right? To try to get a tan, whereas we sort of try to like cover up ourselves, or you'll see like girls who will try to like, you know, cover their body parts up in the sun, because they don't want to get a tan or they don't want to look any darker and that sort of thing. That's not okay. Enjoy the bloody sun, man. So what? You're gonna get a bit darker, you know? These sort of things should just be not a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, we should be allowed to get darker or fairer or whiter or whatever the hell based on wherever we are. And it should just be like totally okay. You know, so yeah, those sort of things, you know, people say, "Oh, you've gone tanned," you know, it shouldn't be seen as in your head as a negative thing.
Yeah. It should just be.
Yeah, I've got tanned. Like, you know, I was in the sun. I enjoyed myself. You should have seen the beach. It was amazing. You should come.
That's the thing. It shouldn't even
with me.
It shouldn't be positive or negative. It should just.
It should just be a thing. Yeah, it's like, why is it? You know. So I guess those sort of things are, you know, out of people's control. Yeah. Yeah, but I like that we touched on height because that's one that doesn't get talked about a lot. Yep. And I know how much of an issue it is for a lot of guys. Cool. I'm sure girls too, but since we're talking about male body image, I know how much that is. And dude, some of this, you know, they can do more. They're just a normal person, right? A tall person cannot. It's not like they can do anything better. You know, it's not. You know what I mean? Mm. Now, sure, you're talking about certain things like sports, like, you know, it's like certain sports will be advantageous to a taller person, like basketball, and certain sports will be advantageous to a shorter person, like hockey. You're lower to the floor, you have better center of gravity.
Even powerlifting, right? Shorter dudes.
Yeah. Lower center of gravity, man. You know, so you're gonna be more susceptible to those movements better. That's true. You have sort of shorter, your joints are sort of lower to gravity. So it's, you're gonna have quicker velocity times. That's and those are the advantages. And there's so many advantages. But people, because of the way we have, you know, kind of made up society feel about being certain ways, it's like we look at the negatives. And we almost always look at tall people, or obviously the extremes where there's some people who are too tall. And that's also another problem. What about people who are too tall?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And like for girls, this is a big problem, who are too tall. They find it very hard to find partners because of the problem of that whole man has to be taller than you issue.
Yep.
There are a lot of women who suffer from, they basically, their picking pool is decreased because they have to find a man above them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So though that's another issue. So height, sure, we're talking about short being negative, but being too tall can also be perceived as a problem, which should not be the case. You know?
Yep.
It should be about our minds. It should be about our conversations. It should be about
Exactly.
That's how people should connect.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Roshan, Anish, just anything, Rex, anything in closing up?
You guys.
I think Rex put it.
Just do you, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roshan.
As long as you feel confident and happy in yourself, I think that's what matters the most.
Yeah. 100%. I really appreciate you guys coming along and creating conversation around body image, because it is something that, like we've talked about today, there's certain things that we're primed to only think about. And there's other things that subconsciously affect who we are.
Yeah.
And the way we perceive and see the world and see ourselves. And the other thing is just, which again it reminded me today, is to learn and just appreciate who you are. You know, be okay with this. If there's something you want to work on, then work on that.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you need to impress other people. There's absolutely no need.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, everyone's just worried about themselves.
Yeah. Everyone just cares.
Everyone's too worried about what someone else thinks about themselves. No one cares or worrying about how you look.
Yeah. In to close it, I would say that how you should look at it is that you only have one life to live, right? And in that life, the only thing that you actually have control over is actually your mind. And so given that aspect, you should be chasing things that are that have long-term value. So anything that makes you feel better in your body, so do things that will make your body function at its best. That's what you want. You want a life where your body will be able to live as long as possible. And at the same time, you want a mind that is happy and positive in being that body. So when you look at those two things, you can kind of then figure out how you should look, what you should be, who you should, what you are, what you've been given, what have you been offered, and what you have to work with.
Yep.
And from there, you can then draw upon who you think you need to be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming along. I really appreciate you guys taking time out to come and speak about this. And I really appreciate for the people who are listening and watching, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here with us. I really do appreciate it. And if you are in a situation where you're uncomfortable or unsure, or you don't feel confident in the way you look or feel, know that there are people out there who can help. People who are there to talk to you about it. You're not in this alone. Everyone experiences this, and everyone goes through these feelings. It's just about opening up and talking to someone. It could be a doctor, someone at the gym, anyone. There's heaps of services out there by the government as well. So I think the conversation is knowing that there's body image is something that's out there, and we'll also have a discussion on female body image as well. I think that's important too.
Absolutely.
For us to not only understand male perception in body image, but also female perception, and for the opposite genders to understand what each has to deal with, and I think that's something important that we want to communicate with the podcast as well. That's about it, really. Thank you so much for tuning in. If there is anything that you'd like us to talk about, if you've got any questions or queries, please do email us at info@thehumannow.co.nz. If you feel like this podcast could benefit anyone in your network or circle, please do share it with them. Until next time, be human, be now. Sorry, Rex.
Disciples.
I'm gonna go check if my abs are still there now.
That was a reminder, right?
10 push-ups.